Hi guys, welcome back. It's Megan again, and I'm really excited to see you. Today we're going to start our second lesson from September. That's about how God has a plan for us. And our lesson today is going to come to us from Exodus 3, verses 16 through Exodus 4, verse 17. And we're going to talk today about how Moses is called to free the Israelites. So our story today starts where our story from last Tuesday left off. Do you guys remember? Jochebed trusted God and put her baby in a basket in the Nile River, and the Pharaoh's daughter found him. That child, named Moses, born of a Hebrew slave and adopted into the royal family in Egypt, he spent his first 40 years in a position of luxury and power. But everything changed when he murdered an Egyptian slave driver who had been beating a Hebrew slave. Moses had to flee Egypt, leaving all of his privileged life behind him. Moses then spent the next 40 years of his life in a place called Midian, where he married and had children of his own. And everything seemed to be going really well for Moses until God interrupted Moses' plans for his own life and put him on a totally different path. You guys remember how last Tuesday we talked about how God was going to use Moses in a big way? Well, we see that start to unfold now. It all started one day when Moses saw a bush on fire, but amazingly the fire wasn't burning the bush. And God spoke to Moses directly from the burning bush, calling him out by name and giving him a big assignment. He said, "I'm sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people, Israel, out of Egypt." That comes to us from Exodus 3, verse 10. And then God told Moses that God would use all kinds of miracles to free his people. And if the fiery bush and the voice of God wasn't astonishing enough, God then turned Moses' staff into a snake and back again, right before Moses' eyes. And these amazing sights and signs still weren't quite enough to convince Moses. Even after everything that he had just heard and seen, Moses still saw some issues about being used for God's calling. He was afraid of his own sense of not being good enough for the task at hand. And he was just trying really hard to evade the task that God had just given him. And we know that Moses wasn't a good speaker. He may have even had a lisp or a stutter. But God reminded him pretty powerfully that it's God who creates a person's mouth and a person's ability to speak. God's response was basically, it's not about what you can do, but it's about what I can do through you. And friends, that's for us today too. So rather than letting Moses' sense of inadequacy and insecurity set Moses off course, God challenged him to trust in God's own power to enact this plan. Have you guys ever struggled with fear of how others might treat you? Have you ever had self-doubt or insecurities like Moses did? Turn to God in prayer and voice your trust in His power to work through you as you seek to step out into His calling for you. He made you, and He is more than qualified to get the job done. And now, just for fun, because I know you guys are all really creative, I want you to picture that burning bush again. A big, beautiful, probably green and luscious bush, but the bush itself wasn't burning. It wasn't wilting, it wasn't turning colors. Do you guys think that you could draw that bush? Do you think you could paint it? Could you make it out of materials that you have at your house? I know you guys can, and I want you to try. Be creative and have a lot of fun. Don't forget that we do have a scripture for September that comes to us from Psalm 121:2, and it says, "My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth." Have a great rest of your week, you guys, and I'll see you later. Bye!